Have you ever stood right on the line between life and death? Here we are in 2025, in a modern world where science and technology run the show. And yet there are still moments that make us stop, look up, and wonder, is some unseen power stepping in? Those close calls where people walk away from by the skin of their teeth, do you chalk that up to plain luck? Or is there a holy hand looking out for them? Picture this: the wind howling on a mountaintop making you shake, a car flying past just inches away on the street, or the sudden crack of the ceiling makes right over your head. Ever feel like dumb luck isn't enough to explain it? And maybe there's an invisible force hiding in those seconds, keeping you safe? In this series, we're going to look at 7 real moments caught on camera around 2025. Each one feels like a straight-up miracle. Every story comes from something that actually happened, and they all point to something bigger about faith and God showing up in what looks like random chance. You know, sometimes all it takes is one breath, one gust of wind, or one little voice to change your whole life. Don't miss a single one. And if something like this has ever happened to you, please tell us about it down below. Who knows, your story might be the next proof of that unseen power we're talking about. So come on with me now, and let's watch these 7 lucky moments that got caught on tape and the truth hiding behind every single one of them. 1. Just a few inches from disaster on top of an icy mountain. Early January 2025, up in the Brooks Range of Alaska, where giant ice peaks touch the sky, an American couple was out there taking on the wild. Can you feel that bone-chilling cold yet? The wind howling like some ghostly whisper. The snow and ice look smooth from far away, but one wrong step and you're gone, hundreds of feet straight down. They got right to the edge of a drop-off when a big gust of snow hit out of nowhere and made them stop to keep their balance. The guy in front reached to step around something, but his foot got held back just as the ice cracked and a huge chunk fell away. All that was left was the edge, only a few inches from their boots. Can you imagine how close that was? A couple inches between living and not. The couple said it felt like some unseen hand pushed them to stop, and that wind felt like the breath of God himself. Watch the video close. You can see them shaking, tears in their eyes, that mix of terror and thankfulness. It was scary and holy, all at the same time. Nature and something bigger seemed to work together to keep them safe, reminding us that plain old luck isn't always enough. The Bible says it best in Psalm 91:11, 1-2. For he will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. And Psalm 34:7, the angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. See, just like that snow wind on the mountain, God's angels watch over his children, quiet, but right on time. Now, from these frozen Alaska peaks, you want to know what almost happened on some crazy mountain passes over in Asia? Another whisper? Another last-second rescue? Next story's coming right up. 2. A close call on the mountain pass. Late December 2024, on the steep, winding mountain roads of the Tian Shan Range in Xinjiang, China, a man was stuck in heavy traffic. Picture the bone-chilling cold, the wind howling through narrow passes, and those scary steep drops all around him. It looked like just another traffic jam, until everything changed in a split second. All of a sudden, he heard someone calling his name over and over. A strange, urgent voice that made his heart race. He couldn't explain it, but he got out of his truck. Just a few seconds later, an out-of-control container truck slammed into the line of vehicles and crushed everything in front of where he'd been sitting. Can you feel how close that was? He later said that voice sounded exactly like the Lord calling him, pulling him out of the truck and saving his life in the nick of time. Watch the video closely. You'll see the fear and gratitude in his eyes, the moment his faith came alive. This story reminds us there's an unseen protection watching over us. It brings to mind Psalm 32:7. You are my hiding place. You will protect me from trouble and surround me with songs of deliverance. And Psalm 72:12. For he will deliver the needy who cry out. the afflicted who have no one to help. See? That strange voice was like a song of deliverance, God stepping in right when his child was in danger. From that miracle on the mountain road, are you curious what can happen in quieter moments too? Next, we'll step inside a house where an invisible hand on the shoulder changed everything. 3. The ceiling suddenly collapsed right on top of the man. March 2025. In an old house in Chicago, Illinois, a man was relaxing on the couch, chatting on the phone with a friend. You ever notice how 1 second everything's calm and the next it's pure chaos? Nobody saw this coming, but a tiny little feeling ended up saving his life. All of a sudden, he felt like someone gently tapped him on the shoulder. He looked up at the ceiling, and right then, crack! The whole thing came crashing down exactly where he'd been sitting. Picture that. 1 second later, and it would have been all over. He said it felt like the hand of God touched his shoulder, made him spot the crack, and he jumped up and got out just in time. See, sometimes those quiet little nudges mean more than any loud warning ever could. His faith in God's protection came alive right there in that moment. Ties right in with Psalm 121 7-8. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. And Luke 10:19. I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. You feel that? That same power can show up in the smallest, quietest ways. From that mysterious tap on the shoulder inside the house, we're heading out to the busy street next, where an invisible stumble saves a young woman's life and kicks off another wild, faith-filled story. 4. An invisible stumble saves a girl right in front of a speeding bus. Back in June 2025, on a busy street in Los Angeles, a high school girl was walking with earbuds in, eyes glued to her phone, crossing the road without looking up. You know how it is. 1 second of not paying attention can change everything. She stepped right into the gap between 2 parked cars and walked straight into the blind spot of an oncoming bus. All of a sudden, her foot caught on something invisible, and she stopped just as the bus roared past, inches away. Take a close look at the video. It's literally one moment that saved her life. The girl jumped, then said it felt like God had put an invisible barrier there to keep her from disaster. Ever notice how heaven's protection sometimes shows up in the tiniest, almost unseen ways, yet it's strong enough to stop a bus? The Bible talks about this in Psalm 91:12. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. And Psalm 34:20. He protects all his bones. Not one of them will be broken. Those verses feel pretty alive when you see something like this happen. From that life-saving trip on the street, we'll move to the next story. A guy pressed flat against a wall while an invisible hand keeps him safe, setting up another heart-pounding, mysterious moment. 5. An invisible hand stopped the car that almost hit the young man. August 2025. On a busy sidewalk in New York, a young fellow was taking a break. His backpack was at his feet, and the late afternoon sun was beating down on the hot pavement. You know how it is. Crowds everywhere, horns blaring, the city roaring. 1 second can make the difference between life and death. He was just relaxing, listening to his heartbeat mix with all the noise, not having a clue that something big was about to happen. All of a sudden, a car lost control and came straight at him, breaking out of the heavy traffic. He felt something strange, like an unseen force nudging him, warning him. Think about it. 1 second slower, and nobody would be telling this story. He jumped back against the wall, heart pounding like crazy, every second feeling like an hour, eyes locked on that car, coming closer and closer. It went right past him, just a few inches away, without touching him. It was like an invisible hand reached out, held the car back, and steered it away from him. Sometimes, life is protected by things we can't see with our eyes, but our hearts know they're real. He stood there stunned, then dropped down on the sidewalk, hands together, thanking the Lord with everything in him. The sound of the engine faded away. His heartbeat slowed down, but the scare stayed with him. There are moments when God's help feels so close you can almost touch it, scary and wonderful at the same time. He told himself, this wasn't just luck. This was a clear sign that every now and then the Lord reaches down with an invisible hand to protect the people he loves. The Bible says it plain in Isaiah 41:10. Fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. And Psalm 46:1 says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Those words felt alive right there on that sidewalk, the same invisible hand he felt keeping him safe. That close call made him wonder, how many little warnings do we miss every day? A quiet feeling, a sudden thought, a nudge we brush off. Have you ever felt something like that? A gentle push to turn around or stop just before trouble hit? From that invisible hand on a New York sidewalk, we'll move on to another story about a cat that quietly warned its owner and started a whole string of mysterious moments. Keep your eyes and heart open, friend. You never know when that same unseen help might show up right beside you, just like it did for that young man that day. 6. The man who got a warning from an animal. October 2025. In the middle of a scorching summer in Texas, a guy was walking down the sidewalk. The heat was bouncing up off the pavement, making the air shimmer like thin, hot fog. You know how it is. Some days feel totally ordinary until something happens that's way beyond anything you'd ever imagine. As he came around a little bend, he saw a cat lying right in the middle of the walkway, its yellow eyes glowing in the bright sunlight. The second he stepped over it, the cat jumped up, let out a sharp yowl, and shot past his heels. If you watch the video close, you'll see it didn't just run away. It brushed right against his foot on purpose, like it was forcing him to stop and turn around. That tiny move gave everyone chills, because right at that exact second, a loud screech of metal ripped through the air behind him. He spun around on instinct, and in that split second, a truck tire that had snapped off came flying straight at where he'd just been standing. It missed him by inches, literally a couple of inches, whizzing over his head as he ducked. The hot summer air got torn apart by that spinning tire, blowing his hair everywhere and leaving a cold chill down his spine, even though it was still burning hot outside. Funny how death can stand right behind you on a regular day and you'd never know it. He stood there frozen for a few seconds, then looked back at the cat. It was sitting on the curb, looking at him like it was checking to make sure he was still alive. Its eyes softened, almost like it was saying, "Job done." Then it calmly walked off. The man said he truly believes God used that cat to save his life. If it hadn't yelled and brushed his heel at that exact moment, he probably wouldn't be here to tell the story. The Bible backs that up. Psalm 145:9 says, "The Lord is good to all. He has compassion on all he has made." And Psalm 52:11 says, "I know every bird in the mountains, and the creatures of the field are mine." See, those verses remind us, God knows every little animal, and he can use any of them to protect the people who need protecting. Makes you wonder, out of the thousands of tiny moments in our lives, how many times has God saved us with something that seemed like nothing? A noise, a glance, half a second too slow or too fast. Ever think about that? And from that strange cat warning on a hot Texas summer day, we move to the next story, a mysterious scream under a roof while snow was falling, a chilling reminder from the unseen world. 7. Snow falling like it wanted to bury the young man alive. December 2025. In Toronto, Canada, a man was standing under a snow-loaded roof, waiting for his friend during a raging blizzard. The wind screamed through the gaps in the buildings like winter itself was moaning. You know how it is. Sometimes all it takes is 1 second slower and everything changes forever. He was bundled up tight, his breath coming out in white puffs, thinking it was just another cold pickup on a winter day. He had no idea he was only a few seconds away from disaster. Just as he looked up the street through the blowing snow, a loud shout cut through the howling wind. "Get out of the way! Get cover!" No one was around, not a soul in sight. If you watch the video close, that voice seemed to come out of nowhere, like it was dropped straight into his ears through the storm. He jumped, heart pounding, and on pure instinct, he lunged toward the building wall before his brain even caught up. And the very second he got clear, boom! Thousands of pounds of snow, tons of it, came crashing down right where he'd been standing. The ground shook, the walls rattled, the air felt like it cracked. Gives you chills, doesn't it? Not because of the cold, but because an unseen voice drew the line between life and death for him. He stood there shaking, knees ready to buckle. Later, he said he doesn't believe it was luck or chance. He believes it was the Lord warning him in the middle of that storm. A shout from nowhere, right at the only moment that could save him. And that made him feel God had covered him, just like that heavy roof of snow, only stronger. The kind of covering that tons of snow can't break through. The Bible says in Psalm 107:28-9, "Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he brought them out of their distress. He stilled the storm to a whisper. The waves of the sea were hushed." And Psalm 91:4 says, "He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge." Those verses feel like they were written for that exact moment, God sending a warning and shielding him with invisible wings in the middle of a blizzard. From snow sliding off roofs to a voice out of the wind, we keep seeing the same thing. These rescues aren't accidents. You just watched 7 stories of people who escaped death by inches, and every one of them felt an unseen hand pull them back just in time. What do you think that was? Which moment felt most like something you've lived through? Drop your own story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. You see, when you put all 7 moments side by side, something strange jumps right out. Not one of them happened by chance. Every single one feels guided by an invisible hand. And if you watch each clip closely, you'll spot that mysterious protection clearer than ever. Let's start with the first one. That sudden blizzard blowing through the desert, picking up everything, while a man stands in the freezing cold, looking like he shouldn't survive. Did you notice? It was the breath of God, keeping him safe. Just like Genesis 2-7 says, "The Lord God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being." That breath doesn't just create life, it shields it when danger comes out of nowhere. Next, there's that voice on the mountain pass in Xinjiang. The guy's stuck in traffic on a steep, icy road, and a voice calls out. Think about it. If he hadn't stepped out right then, a sliding container truck would have taken him out seconds later. 1 Samuel 3-4 reminds us how God calls and calls again until we hear. That voice was the Lord pulling him out of harm's way, plain and simple. The third one, in a house in Chicago, is just as chilling. A gentle tap on the shoulder. The guy looks up, sees a crack in the ceiling, and the whole thing crashes down exactly where he was sitting. Isaiah 6-7 talks about God's hand, cleansing and saving. But here it's also a hand warning us. Pay attention. Be ready. Trust that you're being watched over. That young girl tripping right before a bus in Los Angeles, your heart skips a beat watching it. Admit it, if she hadn't tripped on something invisible, she'd have been hit. Psalm 91-12 says, "The angels will lift you up so your foot doesn't even strike a stone." You can almost see those angels holding her back those few inches. The invisible hand stopping traffic in New York looks like something out of a movie, but it's really God stepping in. The guy hugs the wall, and the car misses him by inches. Ezekiel talks about the strong arm of the Lord. Well, sometimes that arm shows up right in front of you, unseen but powerful as can be. You feel it when you watch that clip, don't you? In Texas one summer, a little cat's warning makes everybody jump. A tiny animal you'd never think twice about becomes God's messenger. Psalm 145-9 says the Lord is good to all his creatures, and Numbers 22:28 shows he can even open a donkey's mouth to speak. Imagine if that man had ignored the cat. What then? Last one. The shout, "Get back!" under a snow-loaded roof in Toronto. The guy jumps against the building, and tons of snow bury the exact spot he was standing. Psalm 107 and Psalm 91 talk about God calming the storm and covering us with his wings. And right there, you see it happen. A loud reminder that every second of our lives can be guided and saved. Put them all together and the pattern is unmistakable. Invisible help at the very last second. Whether it's wind, a voice, a touch, a stumble, an arm, a cat, or a shout. Each one is a picture of God's power working in a crazy year like 2025. He uses weather, animals, and the tiniest moments to protect his own. From the desert wind to the rooftop yell, every single clip says the same thing. Our lives aren't kept safe by luck. God is our hiding place, our strength in trouble, the hand that leads us through the dark. And you know, when you really study those videos, the protection is plain as day. Nothing is too small. Every warning, every little move shouts the same message. Trust him, turn back to him, and faith is the best shield there is when everything's shaking. Looking at all 7 together, the message is clear. God doesn't abandon anybody. He'll use anything, creatures, weather, sounds, unseen forces, to keep those who trust him safe. Each moment is living proof of his power and his love, enough to make you wonder, give you chills, and wake up the faith deep inside every one of us. So, when you step back and look at the whole picture, one thing stands out clear as day. God never abandons anybody. Do you see it? Every single moment, no matter how small, carries the mark of an unseen hand watching over us. Take a closer look. You'll spot the same big message repeating over and over through the wind, the voice, the hand, the stumble, the invisible arm, the cat, all the way to that shout from the rooftop. In this wild world of 2025, where accidents can happen in the blink of an eye, every one of those moments is living proof that God is right there, ready to save anyone who trusts him. It's not luck, it's God stepping in, using sights, sounds, and things we usually write off as random. Did your heart feel that while watching those clips again? First lesson we take away: faith is the key. Like Psalm 46, verse 10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." When you hold on to faith, even in a blizzard, a wreck, or sudden danger, God guides and protects you. That gust of snow across the desert or the yell from the roof, they're living proof of that promise. Second, God uses anything and everything to keep us safe. Not just angels or an invisible hand. He'll use animals, weather, whatever he made. Psalm 145, verse 9 says, "The Lord is good to all. He has compassion on all he has made." From the voice that steered the guy to the cat that warned him, it all reminds us we're never alone. Think about that cat brushing past the man's heel. Don't you love how gentle and clever God is with his creation? Third, living with faith and praying every day helps us notice when he steps in. The stumble right before the bus, or the invisible hand stopping the car in New York, aren't just weird coincidences. They're gentle nudges saying, pray, stay open, let faith be your shield. Psalm 91, verse 12 puts it beautifully. They will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. Fourth, put it into real life. In car crashes, natural disasters, or anything that comes out of nowhere, don't bank on luck. Put your trust in God's grace. Like the voice on the mountain road or the shout from the roof, you see it, right? When people listen to that quiet nudge and act on it, lives get saved. Isaiah 41, verse 10 says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Fifth, the bigger message isn't only about saving our bodies, it's about our souls too. Every time he spares a life, it's a reminder that God cares about the whole person, body and soul. From the snow wind to the stumble, the invisible hand to the rooftop scream, they all call us to live with faith, prayer, and gratitude for the protection we can't see. Did you notice when you watch those moments again, your heart beats faster, but at the same time, a strange peace washes over you? That's exactly what God wants us to feel. Scared yet safe. On edge yet held tight. Psalm 50, verse 11 says, "I know every bird in the mountains, and the creatures of the field are mine." He'll even use the tiniest details of life to rescue, warn, and protect. And the last, most important message: trusting Jesus is the real way to be saved. All those pictures, the wind, the hand, the voice, the cat, the shout, they all point to the same truth. Faith is the strongest shield against trouble. And salvation isn't just keeping your body safe, it's feeding your soul forever. Psalm 107, verses 28 and 29 say it so well. Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and He brought them out of their distress. He stilled the storm to a whisper. The waves of the sea were hushed. Just think about it. If you watch those videos closely, you'll see the same pattern every time. Every unseen rescue is a love letter showing God's power, His care, and His love. 2025 isn't just a rough year. It's a year God keeps reminding people about faith, prayer, and trusting Him for salvation. So tell me, do you feel it? Every one of those mysterious moments is shouting the same thing. God is always here, always protecting, and He just wants us to trust Him. From those 7 events, the snow wind to the rooftop shout, the invisible hand to the little messenger cat, every detail is a deep, beautiful reminder. Faith is our strength, prayer is our shield, and Jesus is the forever salvation of our souls. You see, when we look back at all 7 of those moments, one thing stands out clear as day. God is an amazing protector. Every time the wind blew, every call, that invisible hand, or the shout from the rooftop, it all reminds us that He's right there with us. Did you feel that too? Watching each one again, going through them one by one, from the snow wind in the desert to tripping on the road, from the unseen hand stopping the car to the cat giving a warning. We keep seeing the same thing over and over. God's help shows up for folks who trust Him. Take a good close look at the little details in the video, and you'll feel your heart pounding. But at the same time, there's this strange, peaceful feeling of being safe. Look a little deeper, and there's a bigger message. Faith is the key that opens the door to being saved. Like Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." When you trust and pray, those things that seem like pure chance turn out to be the exact ways God protects you and teaches you to cherish life. Every single moment is a gentle reminder that God uses everything: nature, animals, wind, an invisible hand, a shout, even a little stumble, to keep us safe. Psalm 145:9 puts it beautifully. The Lord is good to all, and His mercy is over all that He has made. He's ready to use every tiny detail of life to help us and to remind us we're never alone. Have you ever stopped and wondered what might have happened without those signs? These moments show us that God doesn't just save our bodies, He feeds our souls, guides every step, and wants us to live full of faith. Isaiah 41:10 says it plain and strong. "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." These are small stories, but boy are they powerful. They're living proof that God's rescue can show up anytime. Go back and watch the tire flying at the kid, or the snow sliding off the roof again. You can feel the wonder God gave us. This isn't luck. This is the hand of the Almighty. And now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had a moment when you just knew God was protecting you? Drop your story down below so we can all see these miracles together. The message we want to leave with you is real simple, but runs deep. God is our fortress. He protects, He guides, and He covers you no matter what's going on. Think about it, pray about it, and never stop trusting the salvation He gives. If this video touched you and you'd like others to feel that same wonder, please give it a like, share it around, and subscribe to the channel. Let's keep these stories of faith and God's protection spreading. Maybe you'll be the one who who inspires somebody else. So there you have it. From those 7 mysterious moments with the wind, the hand, the cat, the shout, they all point to one plain truth. Faith will lead you to real safety and salvation. And every time you feel that, remind yourself to live fully, keep praying, and know that Jesus is always right there with you, a solid rock in this ever-changing world. Have you ever had a close call that felt almost unbelievable? Like you were standing right on the edge between life and death, and then in the blink of an eye, everything turned around and you walked away without a scratch? It sounds like something out of a movie, but in real life, things like that happen all the time. Moments where if something had been just half a second off, it would have ended in tragedy. Yet somehow, against all odds, people survive. And you know what? Those moments are never just luck. For decades now, cameras have caught some of these heart-stopping escapes on video. A car speeding straight at someone and stopping just inches from their toes. A huge rock crashing down seconds after someone walked past. Or a collision that looked impossible to avoid, but somehow got bent in a direction nobody saw coming. These clips give you chills. But if you watch closely, you start to feel something else. Like there's an invisible hand stepping in, guiding, and protecting. That's exactly what we're going to look at today. This video dives into 7 real moments that happened in 2025. Clear, unedited footage, straight from security cameras and dash cams. What makes them special isn't just how close the calls were, it's that every single one feels like it's straight out of the Bible. Each escape seems to echo those old promises that God never stands far away when His people are in danger. He sees, He protects, and sometimes He steps in at the very last second, right when all hope looks gone. So if you're ready, come with me as we unpack these amazing stories and see for ourselves that even in the chaos of life, God hasn't walked away from a single one of us. And hey, don't skip a single second. You'll want to see every bit of the wonder for yourself. All right, are you ready? Let's jump into this journey and experience 7 of the most unbelievable lucky moments you'll ever see. 1. Man walks away unhurt after his house collapses. On a stormy summer night in July 2025 in Rio de Janeiro, the sky was pitch black. No moon, no stars, just a thick blanket of darkness. Down in a poor neighborhood built right on the hillside stood an old, worn-out house that had been through way too many rainy seasons. That's where old Mr. João lived all by himself, quietly getting by day after day, listening to the wind and watching the cracks in his walls get longer and longer. That night he was dead tired, lying on his simple little bed, not having a clue that in just a couple of minutes his whole life was about to change forever. The rain started coming down harder, pounding on the rusty tin roof like it was trying to warn everybody something bad was coming. Then, bam, a huge, deafening crash shook everything. Folks all around the block jumped. Before Mr. João could even figure out what was happening, the whole ceiling came crashing down like a 1,000-pound weight dropped straight from the sky. Bricks, rotten wood, big chunks of concrete, everything came pouring down, bouncing and smashing all over that tiny room. Some of those sharp bricks missed his body by just a few inches. One tiny shift and he'd have been gone. Dust filled the air so thick you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. But here's the thing. Nobody can explain. Not a single piece touched him. Not a scratch. Not a drop of blood. He jumped up in pure panic. His legs just took off running, and he got out of that house while the rest of it kept falling apart behind him. Can you picture it? The whole place crushed flat, and somehow this old man is standing in the middle of the mess like somebody put a shield around him. Neighbors came running through the rain with flashlights, yelling his name. When they saw him walk out perfectly fine, everybody just froze. For a few seconds, nobody said a word. Surviving something like that isn't something you can chalk up to luck. And I think most of us would agree, sometimes the impossible is exactly when an unseen hand steps in. The Bible says it plain in Psalm 91 to 11:1-2. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. And Psalm 34:7 says, the angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. Put those verses next to what happened to Mr. Joao that night, and they feel like they were written for that exact rainy moment. What went on in that broken-down house is pretty hard to call a coincidence. Something, or someone, stepped in, gentle, but perfect, way beyond human understanding. And if you want to see that same kind of protection even clearer, let's head over to the United States now, to a heart-pounding traffic accident where a life was saved in the blink of an eye. 2. The motorcycle that calmly rode right through a horrifying crash. It was rush hour on a spring morning in April 2025, right in the middle of always busy New York City. A two-lane road that was packed solid suddenly turned into the stage for something you'd almost never believe. Cars were bumper to bumper, horns blaring, everything moving along in that usual crazy city rhythm. Then, in just a couple of seconds, something happened that made everybody freeze. If you've ever watched dashcam videos, you know those moments feel both totally real and kind of spooky at the same time. This was one of those. In the middle of all that mess, a car's dashcam caught the start of something unbelievable. A small car coming the other way suddenly lost control. In the blink of an eye, it shot forward and slammed hard into the back of the car in front of it. There was a sharp crashing sound, tires screeching, cars jerking like crazy. The car that got hit flipped on its side and everything spun around like a tornado. But right in the heart of that chaos, a little motorcycle going at a normal speed showed up at the exact second, not even 1 second off. It didn't stop, didn't swerve away. It just slipped through a gap that was maybe 10 inches wide. A space so tiny, most people couldn't react fast enough to use it. And the amazing part? It never got touched, never skidded, didn't even slow down for a heartbeat. Just one smooth, perfect move, like somebody was quietly guiding it through. That moment makes you feel like an invisible hand pulled that bike out of danger by a hair. Or better yet, like that tiny gap opened up at exactly the right time, in exactly the right spot, and was exactly wide enough. Watch the video again, and you'll see why so many folks online are calling it a protected moment. Whether you believe it or not, the timing was just too perfect to be pure luck. And when you think about the Bible, the picture feels familiar. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Don't be afraid, for I am with you. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my righteous right hand." Those words seem to come alive right there on a New York avenue where most people figure it's all just skill or good fortune. Or there's Deuteronomy 31:6. "The Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you." An old promise showing up plain as day in a few short seconds. When you watch that motorcycle ride safely through the wreck, it's hard not to think something bigger was quietly at work. A gentle but dead-on intervention, like the fingerprint of God himself. And this is only the second moment. The next miracle, one that happened in an ordinary little restaurant in Dubai, is even more chilling. Let's keep going. 3. Truck crashes into restaurant. 3 men miraculously walk away, unscathed. It was a scorching midday in October 2025, right in the middle of a hot autumn day in Dubai. Outside, the air felt like it could evaporate a person. Inside a little local eatery, though, everything was nice and ordinary. Folks were eating, chatting, trying to catch a breeze from an old ceiling fan that had seen better days. 3 guys were sitting at the table smack in the middle, having lunch and watching something on the TV right in front of them. They had no clue that in just a couple seconds, the whole place was about to turn into a war zone. If you've ever seen security camera footage of a sudden accident, you know how fast "everything's fine" can turn into "everything's gone." It's terrifying. The restaurant's camera caught the whole thing clear as day. and it still gives you chills. Out of nowhere, a big truck loses control. No horn, no warning, no time for anybody to even turn around. Then, bam, one huge crash, and the truck plows straight into the building like a steel monster. The wall explodes, bricks and dust fly everywhere. Sharp pieces shoot across the room and rain down like bullets. But here's the part nobody saw coming. Those three men, sitting in the single most dangerous spot, right where the truck hit, came out completely unharmed. They jumped up, ran outside faster than you'd believe, and the craziest thing, not a single scratch on any of them. Chunks of wall and ceiling fell all around them, but nothing touched them. Like an invisible shield was wrapped around the three of them. Watch the video again, and you'll see. The difference between walking away and getting seriously hurt was just a few inches. Yet all three stepped out of the rubble perfectly fine. Moments like that make a lot of folks think right away of the promises in the Bible. Psalm 121, 7-8 says, "The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore." Words that usually feel like gentle comfort suddenly look a whole lot more real when you see three guys walk away from something like this. In the middle of a crash that tore a huge hole in the wall, there was still this little pocket of perfect safety opened up at exactly the right second, in exactly the right spot. When you look at the whole thing, it's hard to call it plain luck. The way the bricks fell around them, but never on them. The way the truck stopped the instant it broke through instead of rolling one more foot. Every detail feels like somebody bigger was quietly stepping in. Sometimes miracles don't show up with bright lights. They show up in the dust and noise and broken pieces, but they still leave a mark you can't argue with. And this was just one of those strange protections in 2025. Not long after, over in Europe, a car wreck happened that made people ask the exact same question. Who was watching over them? More on that next. 4. Driver pulled from horrific crash like an invisible hand, yanked him out. It was a cold, drizzly January afternoon in 2025, getting dark in London. The highways were slick with rain, streetlights glowing fuzzy in the wet, giving everything that familiar but kinda spooky feel. A regular car was cruising along when, in one ordinary second, the driver's whole life was about to flip upside down. If you've ever seen a bad wreck on a dash cam, you know how fast everything can go from normal to pure terror. The dash cam caught every scary second. The car loses control, slides, then slams hard into another vehicle nearby. Metal crunching, glass shattering, tires screeching as the car gets dragged. Total chaos, like a slow-motion nightmare. The car got dragged about 20 feet, body twisted, wheels shredded, stuff flying everywhere in a cloud of dust and debris. Then the craziest thing happens. The driver, a middle-aged guy, gets thrown clear of the wreck, totally unhurt, like something picked him up and pulled him out at the exact right moment. It honestly looked like an invisible hand grabbed him and kept him safe just before everything went to pieces. Watch it close, and you'll see how thin the line is between walking away and not walking away at all. Makes you wonder, pure luck? Or something bigger than we can explain? Moments like this feel like the promises in the Bible actually coming alive. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope and a future." Romans 8:28 tells us, "And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him." Watching this guy walk away without a scratch, those verses don't feel far off anymore. They feel real, right here in everyday life. What blows your mind is how perfectly it all lined up. The skid, the crash, the exact second he got ejected and landed safe. Like somebody behind the scenes had a firm grip on the whole thing and stepped in at just the right time. This kind of protection doesn't feel random. Sometimes miracles don't come with bright lights and angels. They show up right in the middle of the noise and smoke. This driver in London is just one of the wild stories from 2025 that make you stop and think. Coming up next, we've got an even more unbelievable one from Mexico. A woman who walked away from something nobody should survive. Keep watching, because it sure seems like miracles haven't left the building yet. 5. The runaway car gets mysteriously blocked and flung away when it tries to hit the woman. On a quiet evening in June 2025 in Mexico City, everything was calm and still in the neighborhood. Then suddenly, it wasn't. A woman was walking toward the gate, minding her own business. No idea her life was about to hang by a thread. If you watch this on a security camera, it takes your breath away. Second by second, a yellow car with no brakes came roaring straight at her, the engine screaming, brakes screeching, all of it mixing into one awful sound that stops your heart. She just froze, scared stiff. But then, right in front of her, something unbelievable happened. The car slammed into what looked like an invisible wall, bounced up, and got thrown backward, landing just 5 inches away from her. Close enough to feel the wind, but not a scratch on her. Can you feel that gasp you just took? It all happened so fast. Tires screaming, the car flipping, dust flying everywhere. But she was perfectly safe. You can't help but wonder, was that just dumb luck? Or did some unseen hand push that car away? A moment that should have ended in tragedy turned into a living miracle, reminding us there are forces out there reason can't explain. The Bible talks about that kind of protection in Psalm 46. 1. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Watching that yellow car get flung aside, those words stopped feeling like something far away. They hit home, real and close, and you suddenly know there's an invisible shield around us in everyday life. This moment is strong proof that something bigger than we can understand is at work. Even when everything looks hopeless, a gentle, perfect hand steps in. That quiet power makes you look at the world again with wide eyes and a whole lot of wonder. The miracle in Mexico City ends there, but the story doesn't. Next, we'll meet a young girl and a city bus, where another wonder happens right in the middle of a busy street, pulling us deeper into these strange, beautiful events. Get ready, because the amazing stuff is still coming. 6. The little girl who escaped by a hair, and that mysterious white streak. It was springtime in March 2025, right after school let out in Toronto, Canada. A 15-year-old girl was standing by the road, just stepping off the school bus that took kids home. Like usual, she was staring down at her phone. What looked like a perfectly normal moment suddenly turned heart-stopping. In the next few seconds, death came within a whisker of her. A car came flying through her blind spot, missing her by about 1/10 of an inch, so close your heart would skip a beat just watching. The scary part wasn't only how fast it was going or how perfectly it lined up. It was a strange white streak that showed up, moving slow and clear, almost like an invisible warning. The girl looked up and stepped back at exactly the right second. She missed disaster by the skin of her teeth, one of those moments where life and death brush right past each other. That white streak makes you wonder, was it just light playing tricks, or something divine that most eyes can't catch? Everything lined up too perfectly. The angle of the car, the speed, the girl's quick reaction. Have you ever noticed how delicate a moment like that really is? The Bible talks about God's protection. Proverbs 2-8 says, "He guards the paths of the just and protects the way of his saints." And Psalm 23-4 says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me." Watching that girl walk away safe, those words feel alive, like an unseen hand keeping watch in the middle of an ordinary day. What happened on that walk home wasn't just dumb luck. It feels like quiet, perfect proof of an invisible hand looking out for the righteous. The mystery and the timing leave you in awe and make you wonder what else might be going on around us that we never see. And while you're still thinking about that strange white streak, get ready for the last story in this series, one where a construction worker on the job has his own miraculous close call, wrapping up this string of amazing things we've been talking about. 7. The builder was suddenly yanked by the leg and miraculously escaped. On a cool fall morning in September 2025, in Sydney, Australia, an old construction site was quiet except for the wind and the footsteps of a builder. He was about to kick down a thick, heavy wall that weighed almost 1,000 pounds, not knowing the next second would be a life or death moment. He kicked once. The wall shook. He kicked again. A crack appeared. Loose pieces started to wiggle, ready to come crashing down. As he pulled his leg back for the third kick, his foot slipped, like something invisible yanked him backward, pulling him clear just before the whole wall collapsed right where he'd been standing. 1 second later, the massive thing came down with a roar, bricks and dust flying everywhere. But he was completely safe, not a scratch on him. Can you feel how perfectly timed that was? Every little detail lined up just right. The distance, the timing, the way he moved at the exact second he needed to. It sure feels like an unseen hand was watching over him. This wasn't just luck. It was something stronger, something most eyes can't see. Life and death were that close, and it leaves you breathless and amazed. The Bible reminds us of a power far beyond what we can imagine. Ephesians 3:20. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. Watching that builder walk away unharmed makes those words feel alive, showing God's strength, showing up in the most ordinary moments. That perfectly timed, miraculous escape wraps up the 7th and final story in this series. From houses collapsing, car crashes, to moments when hope seemed gone. Which one of these 7 grabbed you the most? I'm really curious. Let us know in the comments below. We've just watched some moments where life and death hung by a thread, split seconds when danger came so close you could feel it. But behind every one of those lucky escapes, could there be an unseen hand, guiding, shielding, and pulling people through when all hope looked gone? Let's go back and look at each one slowly so we can see the deeper meaning and the message these miracles are trying to send us. A rainy night in Rio de Janeiro. João woke up just as the floor above him crashed down, furniture flying everywhere, but he walked away without a scratch. Psalm 91:11-12 says, "The angels are sent to keep you safe." This wasn't just good luck. It felt like the Lord put a shield around him right in the middle of the storm, protecting a man who trusts and honors him. Did you notice how perfectly timed it was? That invisible hand showed up the exact second he needed it. In New York, a motorcycle slipped through a tiny gap in a wreck, missed disaster by just a couple of inches. Isaiah 41:10 and Deuteronomy 31:6 promise that God will strengthen and hold you up through every danger. This one feels like a picture of us walking through life. When trouble hits out of nowhere, we're still guided and kept safe in ways we can't even imagine. In Dubai, 3 people sitting in a little restaurant were perfectly fine when a big truck plowed straight toward them. Psalm 121:7-8 talks about the Lord watching over your coming and going all the time. That moment reminds us that even when things look hopeless, God's protection is still there, covering us from dangers we never see coming. In London, a driver crawled out of a smashed-up car like he was pulled free right before the worst happened. Jeremiah 29:11 and Romans 8:28 say everything works together for good for those who love God. You can almost see the Lord stepping in at the last second, pulling his child out of a wreck that looked unavoidable. In Mexico, a woman stood in front of a runaway yellow car with no brakes, and it stopped just inches from her. Psalm 46:1 says, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." This one feels like living proof. Sometimes, the line between life and death is one heartbeat, one miracle we can't explain. In Toronto, a 15-year-old girl stepped back at the exact moment a school bus roared past, guided by a strange white streak no one could explain. Proverbs 2:8 and Psalm 23:4 tell us, "He guards the paths of the righteous." That gentle warning came in the quietest way, something that looked ordinary but saved her life. And finally, in Sydney, a builder slipped and fell right before the wall he was working on came crashing down. Ephesians 3:20 says, "God can do far more than we can ask or think." The man got away in the nick of time, like the Lord reached down and pulled him clear. showing His power even in the everyday jobs that can turn deadly in a flash. Put them all together: the collapsing ceiling, the close call crashes, the runaway truck, the falling wall, the school bus, and you see a beautiful pattern. An unseen hand keeping people safe every single time. These aren't just happy accidents. They're proof that God is watching, stepping in, and protecting the ones who trust Him. Every one of these moments is a living picture of how God uses ordinary seconds to show us life, faith, and miracles are real. When you line them up with Scripture, the pictures match perfectly. A ceiling falling, yet God shielding like a storm shelter. A bike threading the needle while God steers through danger. A wall collapsing after God pulls His child away. These stories make us stop and think. Life is fragile. God's power is bigger than we'll ever understand, and His protection is all around us. If you hold these moments in your heart, you'll start to see the miracles aren't far away. They're right here, in the little things that turn out to mean everything. 7 miracles, tied together into one strong message. Behind what looks like chance, there's always watching, guarding, and guiding. And if you look close, you'll find that in our scariest moments, that's exactly when God shows up the clearest, keeping us safe in ways our eyes can hardly believe. We've just gone through 7 heart-pounding moments where life and danger hung by a thread. Every single one of those seconds wasn't just luck. They were gentle nudges from God, asking us to look closer at a protection that's way bigger than anything we can figure out on our own. Now, let's pull the big message out of all these stories, so we can see clearer how faith and God's protection show up in our everyday lives. The thing that stands out the most is this: God is right there, even when we can't see Him, in every close call. From Joao in Rio, the 3 folks in that restaurant in Dubai, the driver in London, the lady in Mexico, the young woman in Toronto, all the way to the construction worker in Sydney, every one of them was kept safe by a power we can't see. This isn't coincidence. It's proof that God is always watching, covering us, and stepping in exactly when we need it, even if we don't notice at the time. If you look a little deeper, you see He protects us in all kinds of ways. Sometimes it's like an invisible hand yanking us out of harm's way. Sometimes it's a quiet little sign like that white streak. Sometimes it's just perfect timing that gets us clear of trouble. Psalm 91-11, 1-2. Jeremiah 29-11. Ephesians 3:20. Psalm 46-1. They all say the same thing. He uses power and wisdom that's way beyond what our minds can grasp to keep us safe. But the message isn't only about protection. It's an invitation to live aware, to know that every situation, big or small, can be a chance to feel God right there with us. When accidents, sickness, or sudden troubles come, faith and prayer become our shield. They help us see everything in God's light, stay calm instead of scared, and trust that He's got us. In everyday life, you can start by noticing the little things. A car that misses you just in time, a fall that could have been bad but wasn't, or something that seems ordinary but feels like a quiet miracle. Those moments are living proof that God is guiding us. Proverbs 3:5-6 says it plain: "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight." Faith isn't some far-off idea. It's a direct line to protection that's bigger than we know. It's being awake enough to spot the signs, and it's the rock-solid belief that we're never alone, even when danger is staring us in the face. Just like every story we just heard, each of us can experience God's covering in our own way, even if nobody else sees it. And here's another beautiful part. These stories beg to be shared. Telling them doesn't just strengthen our own faith, it gives hope and courage to everyone who hears. When we start seeing God's hand in things that look random, we realize every story matters. Every experience can lift somebody else up and remind them they're watched over too. One more important thing: God doesn't just show up in emergencies. He's in every single detail of our days. Every step we take, every choice we make, every ordinary moment. Psalm 23:4 says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." That's a promise that every moment, big or small, is covered and guided by Him. You can see the pattern running through all of it, from the dramatic life or death seconds to the quiet, mysterious signs. Everything points to the same truth. God is always here, always protecting, always leading the way. Cars barreling towards someone, walls collapsing, that strange white streak, they're all living proof of His power and His never-stopping love. When this really sinks in, we understand that faith and prayer aren't just church things, they're lifelines. They let us face danger without falling apart, help us spot miracles in everyday stuff, and give us peace no matter what comes. So out of these 7 amazing moments, the biggest lesson is simple. God is with us all the time, guiding us through danger and keeping us safe in ways we'll never fully understand. Let these stories remind you, nothing happens by chance. Every detail carries a message, and faith will carry us through anything, safe and sound. Keep holding on to that faith, keep praying, and keep your eyes open. The miracles are still happening, and sometimes they're just inches away, like they were in every one of those 7 stories we just watched. We've just watched some heart-pounding moments where life and danger were only inches apart. From Dubai to London, from Mexico to Toronto, and Sydney too, every story sticks with you. Each one is a powerful reminder that God's power is always there, keeping people safe, even when everything looks completely out of control. Cars spinning out of control, walls crashing down, strange white streaks, or an unseen hand pulling someone out of harm's way. These aren't just lucky breaks. They're clear signs of God's protection. He watches over us, guides us, never lets disaster win, and always shows up right on time to save a life. Take a closer look at each one. 3 men in a Dubai restaurant walked away the second before a truck smashed into where they were sitting. A driver in London stepped out of a totaled car without a scratch. A woman in Mexico stepped back just in time before a yellow car hit her. A young woman in Canada missed being hit by a car by a split second. And a builder in Sydney slipped and fell right before a wall came crashing down. Every single time, it brings to mind verses from Psalms, Jeremiah, Proverbs, and Ephesians about how God sees us, protects us, and leads the way. These moments remind us that faith isn't just something we talk about. It's real strength that keeps us calm and safe when trouble comes. When danger shows up, a strong faith, a quick prayer, or just knowing God is right there can change everything in a miraculous way. Let these stories help you notice the little things in your own everyday life. When traffic gets crazy, work gets tough, or something unexpected happens, don't miss the small signs that He's looking out for you. Miracles often hide in ordinary moments, and God uses those little things to remind us He's always close. These stories also encourage us to live thankful, really appreciating how He watches over us and guides us every single day. His protection isn't always obvious, but when you look back, every little detail shows His power and His never-ending love. And now, we'd love to hear from you. Share your own story or a prayer in the comments. Tell us about a time you felt God's protection. It strengthens everyone's faith and lifts up the whole community. Every experience matters, and every story is living proof that He's real. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can keep discovering more amazing stories together. When we connect like this, our faith grows stronger, and we spread the truth about God's protecting power, building a community that's solid and full of peace. And always remember, God never leaves us. He's right there, guarding us every moment, guiding us through danger, and lighting the way each day. Faith, prayer, and gratitude help us see that nothing happens by chance. Everything is held in His loving, watchful hands. Did you know that just in 2025, experts have been warning non-stop about massive waves slamming into coastlines, some hundreds of feet high and packing terrifying power? From the California coast here in the US all the way to the shores of England, extreme weather events are popping up like never before. Back in July alone, an 8.8 earthquake off the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia triggered tsunami warnings all up and down the west coast, forcing millions of folks to evacuate in a hurry. Water rose fast, swept everything away, and honestly, it reminds a lot of us of the great flood in the Bible, that cleansing that washed away the sins of mankind. Down near the equator and out in the deserts, water has been pouring out of nowhere, picking up dry dirt and rocks and turning into thick rivers of mud. In the Mojave Desert, an oddball rainstorm in September turned the interstate into muddy rivers that carried cars and everything else right off the road. Over in Europe, Storm Claudia in November dumped up to 10 inches of rain in just a few hours across England and Portugal, flooding thousands of homes. Are the warnings in the Bible really coming true? In Matthew 24, verses 37 through 39, Jesus said, "Just like the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, and they didn't realize what was coming until the flood came and took them all away." In 2025, with floods hitting Slovenia, Italy, Croatia, and now warnings of a possible 1,000-foot mega tsunami from the Cascadia zone, it sure feels like we're making the same mistake Noah's neighbors did, acting like nothing's wrong while we dance on the edge of disaster, ignoring the signs nature's giving us, signs that look a lot like God's anger. Come along with me as we look at 7 frightening things happening right now this year. From those sneaky waves along the Florida coast to water curling like snakes down the Thames River in England. These aren't just regular weather events. They feel like reminders that a second great flood is getting closer. We all need to get ready for the great cleansing before it's too late. And hey, stick around until the end of the video so you'll know just how little time we might have left. All right, no more waiting. Let's jump right into each terrifying moment of these angry waves. You ready? 1. Those waves that look so small and harmless, fooling people into letting their guard down. Back in June 2025, down at Miami Beach in Florida, a young woman was strolling along the soft white sand. Little waves were rolling in, maybe 2 or 3 feet high at first, looking like the ocean was just playing around. Instead of heading back to dry sand, she danced with them, trying to outrun each one, figuring she was only a few steps from safety and it'd be fine. Then, in the blink of an eye, a wave shot up to 10 feet and ripped her out to sea while everyone around her panicked. The video blew up all over social media and turned that quiet beach into a water nightmare. Experts at the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center say 2025 has seen a weird spike in rogue waves, thanks to climate change. Ocean temperatures are running about 2 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than normal, setting the stage for these monsters to form. A climate scientist with NOAA explained that strong winds mixed with unstable currents can turn a 5-foot wave into a 30-foot wall in just seconds, and the drowning risk shoots through the roof. Can you imagine that happening right next to you? In Genesis 6:5-7, the Lord saw how wicked people had become and decided to wipe everything out with the great flood. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth. The Lord said, "I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created." This ties straight into Matthew 24:38-39. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. The scary bright spot here is how those little waves trick you, kind of like the deceitfulness of sin in Hebrews 3:13, where sin looks harmless on the outside, but drags you to sudden destruction. Just like the flood, when you see it, you feel that mix of curiosity and chills, don't you? A tiny wave seems like nothing, yet it's a reminder that danger can hit any time. If you think those small waves already get your heart racing, buckle up. In the next part, 100-foot monsters come roaring in. Whole cities have to evacuate in a hurry. And suddenly, every minute feels priceless. 2. Towering waves blending into the sky and swallowing everything. July 2025. In San Francisco Bay, California. A local guy caught something terrifying on video. The waves kept getting bigger and stronger. They started at maybe 20 feet, then shot up to hundreds of feet tall. Water sprayed everywhere, mixing with the clouds, covering skyscrapers like it wanted to swallow the whole city. The government ordered everyone out right away. More than 100,000 people had to evacuate inland within 24 hours. Experts from the USGS warned that a big earthquake in the Cascadia zone could send a tsunami 1,000 feet high and threaten the whole west coast. Scientists at Stanford said global warming is melting the Arctic ice, raising sea levels about half a foot every year now. And when you mix that with earthquakes, you get monster waves moving 500 miles an hour. Can you even imagine standing in front of a wall of water that tall? In Genesis chapter 7, verses 11 and 12, it says, "In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day of the month, on that day all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened, and rain fell upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights." This lines up with Luke 21:25 too. "There will be signs in sun and moon and stars, and on the earth distress of nations in perplexity because of the roaring of the sea and the waves." Watching these waves, God's warning feels clearer than ever. You probably noticed in the video how angry the ocean looked, almost exactly like the wrath of the Lord in Psalm 93, verses 3 and 4, where the seas roar and lift up their pounding waves. Yet the Lord on high is mightier than all of them. It reminds us to stay humble before God's power. The ocean's strength is both awesome and scary. Like nature and the Lord himself are telling us they're still in charge. And if those giant waves can swallow whole buildings, just think what even little waves, the ones that seem harmless, can do to a store or a house. The next thing that happens will really give you chills, because the water won't just rise. It'll twist and move like it has a mind of its own, letting us know our time might be running short before nature's full fury hits. 3. A massive surge from the deep ocean climbs ashore and destroys everything. In August 2025, at a beachside restaurant in Venice, Italy, a video caught something terrifying. A huge wave came rushing up from the sea, smashed right into the place, shattered the big glass walls, and swept everything inside out into the water. It was only about 15 feet high, but it was so powerful that people didn't stand a chance. Tables, chairs, all the furniture got dragged out to sea in the blink of an eye. Experts from Italy's Civil Protection Agency warned that coastal flooding has gone up 30% because of rising sea levels. Scientists from the European Climate Institute say the storm combined with extra high tides created what they call king tides, 5 feet higher than usual, and that's caused billions of euros in damage. Can you believe how fast it all got destroyed? In Genesis 7:19-20 it says, "The waters rose greatly on the earth, and all the high mountains under the whole heaven were covered." The waters rose 15 cubits above the mountains. This also ties right into Matthew 24:39. The flood came and took them all away. When you see what happened in Venice, it's hard not to think about the warnings of the great cleansing when nature becomes the tool of God's power. Don't you think this sudden destruction feels a lot like the day of the Lord will come like a thief in 1 Thessalonians 5:2, when solid things you thought would last forever get swept away without any warning? It scares us and pulls us in at the same time, reminding us